Welcome to Business Spotlight, where we share insights, reflections, advice, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. My name is Ceri James. I'm a business coach and facilitator. And today in the Spotlight, we have founder of Vanoffee Ltd. It's a big welcome to you, April Rose Kennedy.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to hear what you've got to ask me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be interviewed today.
Oh, that's very kind. You're very welcome, April. Let's get started, if we may, with an overview question. Tell us a little bit about the history. How long have you been in business, please, April, and what do you specialize in at Vanoffee?
So at Vanoffee, I'm a mobile coffee van, as it says in the name, in a converted ice cream van. We do rounds in South Manchester daily. In Altrincham, we go to offices, gyms, schools. We also cater for events in the Northwest. So whether that be, recently we've done a personal development conference called Anything is Possible. We can do private parties. We can be on TV and film sets. The possibilities are really endless. Also with Vanoffee, we have a web app which you can sign up to receive a notification when we're in the area. You can then order and pay online and come and collect from the van. So this is quite handy because although we're an ice cream model and have a chime, the notification is good because if you sat at home, working from home in the area, and you get a text or email and you've not heard that we're on the road or seen it on Instagram, because I also post the routes on social media, then you can come and see us and get your coffee, cookies, and your afternoon pick-me-up.
Great. And how long has that been going then, please?
Sorry, yes, it's been going 2 years in May. So it will be, it's the quickest 2 years ever, actually.
Well, it's been a turbulent time, isn't it? Clearly, there's been a lot going on since lockdown and interest rates and people working more from home and events moving towards digital versions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What have been the biggest impacts or what maybe drove the launch of Vanoffee?
So I'd say what drove the launch was I was actually, I don't know if you've seen on my website, but there is an about section with the story. So I was walking through the park in November time on my way back from a job I was doing. It was just like a temping job at a nursery, because I was actually saving to go traveling before COVID hit. So I was saving and I was walking through the park. I was really cold. It was middle of November and there was an ice cream van in the park. And he was a lovely man that had this ice cream van. But I did think, gosh, it's a bit cold at this time of year. And then I went home, and obviously at that time, a lot more people, you couldn't go into restaurants. Everything was outside. A lot more people were going on walks. Everyone's lifestyles had changed to being outdoors more. And appreciating walking more and getting in the fresh air. And I just thought to myself, oh, it would be great if I could get it out there. Unfortunately, I missed the boat in terms of, because it took 6 months for my van to be converted, which I didn't expect. So I missed the boat during lockdown. I actually launched just as everything was, opening again. But I still got my customers, people were still wanting to go out and buy coffees, still going on walks, maintaining that habit that they'd built in lockdown. So yeah, that's where it came from, really. Just walking through the park and wanting a coffee, but there being an ice cream van. I also have a great passion for cafe culture. I love coffee, hot drinks, cake. I'm quite particular and a bit of a connoisseur, shall we say. So I think it's come out of a passion for that as well, really. And to be honest, I graduated with a degree in theology and religion. And I always thought I'd go and do a master's in broadcast journalism. And I just thought of this idea, and sometimes you just go with an idea, and I think I just went for it. And here I am.
Great. So it sounds like you do all sorts of different venues, different events, etc. It sounds like scheduling might be a bit of a challenge. But what would you say are the biggest challenge to you in the business today?
I'd say the biggest challenges are that I'm doing it all alone. So I'm very lucky, like I had investment from my dad into my business alongside myself. But my dad has his own business, so it is solely me running Vanoffee. Like day to day, I drive the van, clean the van, I barista in the van, I pick up everything for the van, I do the marketing, I do the social media, I do the business networking, the growth, the development, finding the events. So yeah, and then I've got the finance side as well, which I'm not always on top of, like my bookkeeping. So I'd say that's the challenge, doing it all myself. I'm managing to get there. It took a while to get into a routine with it all, but I'm managing to get there. And then with events and stuff, I do get help off family and friends. And I have like a few members and a few friends I know that will like temp staff for me. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge, doing it all myself, and being 26 and being quite like a young founder and just being thrown into the deep end and not really, it's strange. Like, I wouldn't say not knowing what I'm doing, because I have, like, at university I did some business modules, and at school I did like A-level business studies, but so I knew about business. I wasn't completely clueless, but I think it's different when you're actually working on a business to actually learning about like case studies. So I think that would be the biggest challenge, like just learning on the job and taking everything on.
I don't know if you're familiar with the E-Myth, which is one of the best-selling books about opening and growing a business, but that it's a story about a bakery. But that's the fundamental principle: is you don't grow a bakery business by baking more cakes. It's more about all the learning that you're going through. So we'll definitely.
I was just going to say, I've not read that book, but I'll be sure to read it because it sounds like something that would be helpful to me.
Well, it's sold well over 5 million copies, so well worth a read. And let's move on then. We talked a little bit about your current challenges. You've got your one Vanoffee van on the road at the moment. What are the aspirations for the business? So how's the demand looking? Do you expect to expand? What do you see happening over the next 5 years?
So I've got a few things in the pipeline at the moment. I'd really like to expand into the city centre. So I'm just trying to find like a good spot. Whether that's with the current van or I buy another van, I'm not sure. We'll see about that. But I think long term, I think I'd like to franchise the business. I'd want Vanoffee to be like a national brand at 5 years, and then who knows, we could go global. So yeah, I just like the brand to spread. I'd like the brand to remain strong. I think it's a really strong brand if you've seen it. I've got lots of ideas for like product development. I'd quite like to have like a store as well, and not just a van, and a cafe store. So yeah, we shall see. I just got to keep working hard.
Well, that's great to hear that level of ambition, April. Fantastic.
Thank you.
So what about the learning? You talked a little bit about having to do everything. And that, of course, is one of the challenges of being a business owner. You need to learn the 20% most important elements of a whole range of things, from finance, leadership, team building, marketing, etc., etc. But what would you say? So 2.5 years or so. What would you say your main lessons would have been? And an alternative way of thinking about that, if you were to advise yourself on day one now, knowing what you know now, what do you think your top piece of advice would be?
I think it's probably best that I didn't know what business owner life would be like before setting up, because it might have put me off, because it's so hectic, but I love it. I'd say to myself, be patient. I think in my first year, I was very much like, I want to grow, I want to do this, I want to do that. But it's such a process. Like, you don't, with a business like Vanoffee, it's not like e-commerce or sales where you're putting a product out there and people see it online on TikTok and stuff and they click and, you get your sales like that. It's not like you can make money overnight with it, I suppose. With mine, it involves me making the coffee. It's more operational. And I think I've got to be patient with the process of getting to a point where I feel confident that my business is ready to take the next step. And also I'd say I've learned that resilience is a big factor within that. So if I want to be successful and want to grow, I think resilience is so important. And I think Vanoffee has taught me that, definitely, because I've had to deal with the van breaking and then having an event the next day and feeling disappointed that I'm not going to have them sales. And then there's points where I'm working like all the time, like even on a day off, you know, it's not a day off, I'm doing admin. And I think just knowing that success doesn't happen overnight, I think would be my biggest thing I would have told myself at the beginning. Yeah, and just be patient with the process, and it will happen eventually when it's ready to.
So April, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on where you are as a brand and where you're trying to get to. You know, clearly branding is, a lot of people think branding is the logo and the colors type of thing. And whilst that's an important element, it's much more about your reputation and what you stand for in the minds and the hearts of your customers. So tell us a little bit more about where you are with that and where you're trying to get to, please.
100%. So I'd say, you know, Vanoffee has got the great colors, the great branding, and it's been very thought through when we've been in that process of branding Vanoffee. But in terms of like the reputation and what I'm building, that side of the brand is just as important. So for me, you know, my customer service and the relationship I have with my customers, and my products, and what I wear, and that's all part of the brand. And I think people get to know me and become regulars, and then they tell someone else. You know, I like that, going to Vanoffee, because I really do like to talk to my customers. I won't just serve them, like I like to make it personal and say, how was your day? You know, what are you doing this week? Have you had an all right day at work? You know, I really do like to encourage the talking and building a relationship, because I feel like also if you sat working from home and you've not seen anyone all day, or you're having a bad day, I want it to be like you come to Vanoffee to have like a pick me up. So I'd say in terms of grow the brand's reputation, that's what I've been doing to try and allow it to have a good reputation and to help it succeed.
So a follow-up question to that, if I may then, what sort of challenges does that create as you want to grow the business in terms of recruiting the right people?
That is definitely a challenge, because I find it really hard to recruit people. I think, especially with Vanoffee, there's the driving element in the van and the baristering. I think you can get, you know, loads of baristas, but quite a lot of people aren't sure about driving the van. I think because it's like they look at it and think, oh, it seems so precious. But actually, you know, I think if they just went for it, then it would be fine. But in terms of the type of person I'd want to recruit, it would be like friendly, warm, chatty, confident, want to engage, not just be there to serve the coffee and go home. Like I'd want them to really care about my brand and growing it and the reputation of it.
Very good. Well, it's been fascinating, April. Thanks so much. Just one final question, if I may. If there's got any viewers or listeners or viewers to Business Spotlight, if any information or offers that you'd like to make?
Definitely. I'd love to offer all Business Spotlight watchers or readers 10% off at Vanoffee, and you can claim this by coming to the van and just telling me that you've watched the video or you've read the newsletter, and you can get 10% off. Right.
Well, we'll make sure we put that in the supporting commentary to go with this video then, April.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much for your time and for your input, and all the very best with Vanoffee.
Thank you.